In the Neoplatonic concept, therefore, we have the gradual experience of the individual moving from the sense of separateness or the sense of aloneness toward the sense of identity. To the Egyptian who writes this book, aloneness is the acknowledgement of the acceptance of diversity. The more completely the individual believes in many, the more completely he is capable of isolation. If he believes in 10 or 100 or 1,000, he is one of them. And they may all exist around him, and they may all press in upon him. Therefore, aloneness is the statement of the acceptance of the even or divided number, the representation of the individual's inability to recognize unity. And the Egyptian also points out that from the earliest points of man's existence, he has been moving from a savage isolation toward a gradual integration of a social structure in which he no longer experiences aloneness. Thus, in the archetype or in the divine pattern, even as the gods in their own motions move again towards the victory of re-identification, so man, in his great migration through life, is forever moving away from separateness and towards the increasing recognition of wholenesses. Iamblichus tells us that these unities, which represent the roots or seeds which flow from or descend from primordial unity, that these unities are innumerable, and that man, conquering diversity, always does so by the discovery or the experience of some kind of unity. And he also, and later Proclus points out to us, that every experience of a unity is an illumination. In other words, the moment the individual sees the bridges between separate things, he begins to have the theurgic vision to some degree. Because theurgy is not merely a consummation in itself. It is a gradually unfolding, growing power of apperception by which certain things, not now obvious, become more and more continuously apparent to the consciousness. In the grouping, as he explains it, therefore, the experience of unification releases archetype which exists in space. For every numeration or compound composed of the potential of numbers abides also in its own state as a unity. The recognition of the 10 parts is not the experience of 10. And the experience of the oneness of 10 is achieved in the life of man, according to Iamblichus, through the voluntary cooperation of human beings who discover the old adage, in union there is strength. And that these unions create a oneness. When 6 men are of one mind, there is a oneness. And this oneness is an archetypal entity. And according to the Chaldeans, these archetypal numerical entities are gods. They believe firmly, this book states without equivocation, that this total experience is ultimately available to every creature that exists and is its proper destiny. But the Neoplatonists affirm that this total experience would not be possible on the same level at a given time in an imperfect and incomplete world to all persons, but that this is in itself no importance, inasmuch as in each instance the experience of unity is a superior experience to the present, and the person of comparatively uncultured attainment who discovers the next superior state of unity in himself has as great and thrilling an experience as the great sage who may experience a much vaster consciousness in this subject. It is all growth. All of this growth is toward totality. And as there are young children who must be taught one thing and older children who must be taught something else, so there are in the world persons all of whom must react according to their potentials as they are now manifested. But each one of these is capable, daily, yearly, and through life, to have a series of unfoldings of unity according to his capacity and his knowledge. The carpenter, the shipbuilder, the clerk, the professional man, all of these individuals are capable of gradually unfolding sense of oneness, of identity. Perhaps the physician may first of all begin to recognize a certain unity between himself and the great need of a suffering mankind. He then approaches his subject no longer as a physician making a living, but the experience of the service of a great unity, a concept of identity, a oneness which may be termed health, which may be termed the service of a principle or of a law. And if the physician actually is sincere and is devoted to his cause, the practice of his profession and his faithful service of others will give him an experience of divine unity through the God Asclepius, which is the monad of God as healing and of health.